What's a weird childhood ritual you still do today? Walk along ledges instead of the footpath. I still do this. I also find myself strategically avoiding cracks in the sidewalk. Well, I mean, do you really want to break your mother's back? I still bite the head and legs off of animal crackers before eating the rest of the cracker. I always eat the legs first so they can't run away. When I go to the beach I always draw a circle around our stuff, you know, to protect us from the sea bear. There's no CB. The circle works, guys. Still sit in the shower like I did when I was a kid. Hell, if I'm gonna stand there for the most relaxing time of the day. Edit. A few recurring questions I've gotten. I just sit in the shower. Don't have a chair, but now I'm thinking of it. I do clean my shower regularly so it's quite clean. Also, I don't sit when I'm not at home. Seems gross to me. I do it regardless of if I'm in the throes of depression or feeling good. Rushing upstairs or into bed after turning out the light. Sometimes I try to walk to prove to myself I can do it, but then I hear something and the adrenaline kicks in, so I book it. I blow in my cup before filling it with liquid. I used to think that blowing in the cup would remove the germs. I do that too, but only to cups I use for myself. I do it to remove possible dust, but in reality I probably blow spit all over. It helps with detecting dirty cups that roommates have put in the cupboards, though. Once when I was a teenager, I was all dressed up for something, in heels, and I did the little mock tap dance in the kitchen. My mom looked at me with a little smile on her face and said, "You know, you used to do that when you were 2 years old anytime you wore your dress shoes." Still do. Dress shoes are for tap dancing. When I was a kid my dad would surprise my sister and I with junk night. We'd go to the grocery store and he'd buy us anything we'd want for the night. Candy, popcorn, surge soda, ice cream, etc. Then we'd get pizza or McDonald's and a video rental and have fun all night. He only did it like twice a year, but it was always a surprise and so exciting. I still do that with my girlfriend and I'll do it for my kids when I have them. Edit. I'm so glad to hear everyone who wants to share this tradition with their family. You guys are awesome. When I was a kid, I'd always eat one thing on my plate at a time. Unless it was something like corn and mashed potatoes. Then I'd mix that together. I'm a grown man these days, still eating everything individually off my plate. Apparently it's noticeable because people have questioned me about it. These days I just tell them that if I'm poisoned by my constituents, they'll know which item was poisoned. That's a great answer. I need to start blaming my constituents for more things. When I was a child my mother made a large round rug out of old pants. It's beautiful with lots of bright colors. We loved racing around it as children, pretending it was a round racetrack, or doing an Indian dance around pretending that the red center was our fire. As an adult my mother gave me her old rug. I saved it from being trashed as it had no special meaning to her. When I'm pacing my house while talking on the phone or thinking, I catch myself walking around in circles on the rug. It's like my own personal sticky trap. When I was 6, me and my father made a cute little handshake. We did every day when he left for work and when he would come home. Now, 27, I still do it when I see my dad. One day when I have kids I'm going to pass it down to them. Edit. Thank you for the silver. Whenever I eat a sandwich I start from the crust, so I have all the fluffy part in the end. Been doing this since I was 5. I do this with Pop-Tarts. I do it with pierogies. Oh man. This is gonna sound so weird and I have no idea why I did this, and sometimes still do. As a kid, I like to time how long I peed, but I didn't use numbers. I would repeat the names of the fairies and Sleeping Beauty in my head and count how many times I said all three. Flora, fauna, and Meriwether over and over, while peeing. Sometimes, I subconsciously still do this. It was so constant as a kid it's like I trained myself to recite this when I pee. Edit. Thank you kind internet stranger for my first ever gold. If you say it when you're not peeing does it make you need to wee? This is going to sound silly, but every night before I fall asleep I'll lay in bed and write stories in my head. I thought I would grow out of it eventually, but now the stories are just way more complex, lol. I thought it was just me. I have an elaborate sci-fi story going on and have done for years. I never remember any of it until I start falling asleep. Whenever I eat, I always leave the best for last. Eat a little of the good part first, then move on to the less good parts. If the world ends in the middle of my meal I don't want to miss out. I always make sure to say goodbye to all the household pets before leaving. I tell my cat he's in charge of the house while I'm out. Cat's thinking, who do you think is in charge of it while you're here? Until a few months ago I stood up to wipe. Had no idea I was doing something weird, until my wife walked in and she has been making fun of me ever since. Expressionless face. When I was younger I'd help my mum fold bed sheets, you know, we each grab an end, put the corners together twice to fold lengthways, and then walk towards each other to fold widthways. I used to always give my mum a hug at the end of it, with the bed sheets pressed between us. This would repeat for as many sheets as we needed to fold, 1 or 2 or 3, you know. Now I am 33 years old and when me and my wife fold sheets together, we end it with a hug. Plus she gets a little kiss at it. Thank you kind people for my first ever silver and gold. This is the cutest thing I've ever read. Sometimes when I sleep, I keep one leg in the blanket and one leg outside of the blanket so I'm not too hot and not too cold. I called it the banana split.